Yes, the president did give a speech, his New Year's speech. You've heard that. So now it's time for some feedback from people as well. So we've got a lineup of persons who are joining us virtually in our community segment. And so we've got His Excellency Simon Achumba, former Deputy Governor of Kogi State. He joins us virtually from the UK. Professor Adebola Abbas is a professor of international law and a global affairs analyst. We've got Professor Abiola Awoshika, who is an educationist. And we also have Dr. Shadi Sabe, he's a lecturer and proprietor, director, Brilliant Footsteps Academy, also Vice Chancellor, Iconic University in Sokoto. Ladies, gentlemen, thank you all and Happy New Year to all of you. So, Mr. Chuba, let me start with you on this matter. Governance is a big deal. I mean, if we don't get it right at that stage, chances are several other things will suffer. I don't know if you heard the president's speech. He did speak to the fact that, yes, the inflationary rate is unacceptable. It is high. Galloping inflation affecting so many things, but policies that they've taken, he says, are in the best interest of the people. So as someone who's been there and now sitting from the outside and looking, seeing how the policies government is taking is affecting the people, this new year, certainly lots of expectations from the people. What would you say in terms of what the authorities need to do to ensure that this year, 2024, ends or happens or turns out to be a very good one for us all?
Yeah, thank you, Cumberland, and Happy New Year to Nigerians. Sincerely speaking, the president's speech is a great one, and it is quite encouraging. Moving forward, my honest advice is to match our words with actions. It's not just mere speeches and then we go back to rest. It is my hope that the president moving forward will ensure that before coming out to make policy statements, the plans are well laid on how it can be executed, and not just making policy statements, then going back to the drawing room to calculate how it can be implemented. I think that what has happened about the fuel subsidy removal took that course, making pronouncement before going back to the drawing room on how you can make it work. The same thing happened in the Naira exchange rate. You don't just come to make statements and then go back before knowing what to do. You sit down from the A to the Z of it. Look at this policy statement. How can it be implemented? What are the sequences that we are going to follow to get to our set target? This is what we expect moving forward. So that whenever the president comes out to say, oh, this is the policy I'm coming out with, he should be able to explain to Nigerians that, look, the first level, this is what we are going to do. At the second level, this is what we are going to do. At the third level, this is what we are going to do. By so time, God willing, all things being equal, this is where I expect that Nigerians will be. That is the new leadership level that we need to get to, and not just coming to the television, making promises, writing good speeches. We have had enough of good speeches. We have had enough of good promises, but we want these implementations to take place. Sincerely speaking, looking at the issue of fuel subsidy, a lot has been said. Who are the people benefiting? Who are the people? Who were the people benefiting from these fuel subsidies? And why was it so? Why is it up till now that we have not known them? And the fuel subsidy has been removed. Yes, we expected that the inflow to the state and local government should go by way of 200%, but that has not been seen. Those are the areas I want the president to look at. Then, on the other side is the issue of our electoral process. No matter how good a president may be, as long as the electoral process that throws up people into leadership is faulty, and it gives room for men who are not trustworthy, men who are not willing to work for the nation, who has no love for the nation, onto the corridor of power, we will continue to go in the cycle of complaints, of corruption. And that is what I think the president moving forward should address the electoral process. Take, for instance, the elections that has taken place in 2023. How many people has been punished despite the level of violations? We must set up a system that can check and punish violators in electoral process. INEC cannot take all that burden alone. There must be an agency. The Senate has passed that law. The House of Rep is still waiting. We need an agency. Until people are brought to book and punished for electoral offenses, we will continue to go in a cycle in electing men who are just coming out to put their hands into the purse of the nation and not move the nation forward. I believe that when that is done, and we have men of integrity, which the communities who are electing them know, fighting corruption will be, in fact, be reduced to the barest minimum. Because in various communities, there are no men who are good. There are no men who love Nigerians. There are no men who have good intentions for the nation. Fighting corruption, changing Nigeria to the standard that it ought to be, must start from the electoral process. Okay. How we elect them.
All right, Your Excellency. Yes, just hang on a little bit for us. We need to just equally get to the streets of Abuja to find out what the people expect. Yes, it's a new year. They're hopeful. They're optimistic about what should come this year. So we do have our correspondent, Larry Lasisi, who is at a place of worship, just trying to find out what supplications might be out there, both upstairs and sideways. So good morning, Larry. Happy New Year to you. So what's going on?
Happy New Year, Timberland. I'm in Maitama area of Abuja. I am in St. Matthew's Anglican Church, and service is going on right now, the first service of the year at this church. I can tell you we've seen a lot of people come in, including the former head of state, Major General General Yakubu Gowon, retired, who worships here. He went in, we tried to get an interview with him. He declined politely and sent his best wishes to the station. We've also seen a lot of more people coming in, former ministers and people who are just here, happy to have crossed over into the new year and here to worship, to at least start the year on a good note. And I have one of the worshipers here with me who will be speaking with me about this morning, this year, and his expectations. Good morning.
Good morning.
Please, can you start by introducing yourself?
My name is QS Samuel Egbra. I'm a deputy director in the Federal Civil Service, okay, and then I worship here.
Okay, thank you very much. Yeah. Now, it's a new year.
Yes.
What's your expectation for the year?
My expectation is that we have security challenges all over the country, which was shown on the December 25th. That was one of the activities that happened. And then I expect the government to tackle security issues headlong so that we can sleep well. And then the other challenge I think we have is on food security. Many small-scale farmers have folded up. We expect the government to also look at that so that we can feed our country. And then We also expect the government to tackle issues of unemployment, which the president said this morning in his address to us, that is very aware that many Nigerians are unemployed. So we also expect the federal government to tackle the issue of unemployment. And then inflation also is a very serious challenge to us. Foodstuff has skyrocketed. Many people are unable to feed themselves. We also want the federal government to deal with those issues.
Okay, now you mentioned the issue of the president's speech this morning. What's your impression about this?
It gives us some hope. It is quite impressive. We want the president to walk the talk so that Nigerians can be assured of a greater years to come. Thank you so much.
All right. Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Well, you heard him there. Walk the talk. He's happy about the speech. He's concerned about some issues, and basically these are his expectations. The service is still on, and a lot more are still coming in, but like I said, a nice note to start the year on.
All right, Larry, I was just thinking, can't General go on just, it would have been lovely if you'll just let us hear his voice to the people, but who knows? You never can tell. Maybe when it comes through from the worship center, something might touch his heart and he says, okay, let me just give Nigerians a good message this morning. All right, Larry, thank you very much indeed.
As I was speaking to you, Chamberlain, he was among the first to get here this morning, and he came with his wife, and I approached him. He received me very nicely, so politely, and declined ever so nicely.
Oh,
so
dear.
I tried, you know how we do it, we try to help him. This is the first day, this is the first time we can talk to him. He politely pleaded with me, said, thank you very much, that I know he will talk to us if he wants to, and all that, and declined.
Well,
so
General Shuna won't give up on him. So he knows too that we will like him to speak on a regular basis. But thank you, Larry, and all the best to you as you go on with your worship.
thank you.
All right. Yeah.
Indeed, we still have our guest here with us, Professor Ademola Abbas, Professor Abiola Awoshika, and we still have Dr. Shadi Shabe, all of them waiting on links. And so let me quickly take on Professor Abiola Awoshika. The president speaking very clearly. I mean, the people are beginning to respond to the president's speech, speaking clearly on understanding the frustrations of Nigerians. You have been an educationist for many years, working in that sector. What are some of the frustrations that are still abiding in the sector, and how does this speech in some way provide hope for the new year?
Thank you so much, Mokwe. First of all, the president's speech is hopeful. And we're hoping in the education sector that if we can fix everything around us, and then maybe they'll have time for education. Because right now, I don't think it's on their radar. We're still dealing with the same issues. The 12 million, maybe 13 million out of school children. The state of our infrastructure, all of these are still abiding, but we're not complaining right now, because we know they have a bigger fight in the economy. If the economy is right, if power is right, if food security is right, then maybe they will have time for education.
Well, shouldn't it be coming, sorry to interrupt you, Prof, shouldn't it be coming simultaneously? Because we cannot wait for other things to be right before children begin to go to school, can we?
No, well, look here. We have not stopped. And it has always been that, the private sector has taken the fight of the education sector, and we have taken it headlong, and we're not stopping. And we're asking the government to come alongside us. They have voted enough money, maybe a little bit more than usual in this budget. However, it's not in the budget, it's in the execution. When we execute budgets, what do we put the money into? So the sector is not quiet as such. With the help of the NGOs and private sector, I mean, the fight is still on. But it's, I mean, you take a family, you have a catastrophe on your hand. You fight the ones that are hurt first before you look at every other thing. Maybe it's us getting used to the fact that we don't get enough government help in education. But the fight is still on. We're expecting things to turn around, and we know, with this budget, with him taking making accountability the watchword in his administration, maybe the people who are in charge of education will buckle down and do what is expected of them. So that is not to say that we're just sitting back and letting education go to pot. We are fighting it, but at the same time, we see that the government needs to get some things straight. The state of, and it will affect us as well. We're in education. We have teachers who go to work every day, and they're taking this transportation. Yes, they've given us 50% off and whatnot, but that is not what we want. We want a situation where everything is settled. We go to the gas station and we can buy petrol for 200 naira instead of 650 naira. We're also involved in the hike in the foreign exchange sector, because if the foreign exchange sector doesn't settle down and we gradually get the currency where we need it to be, we in education are going to suffer. Because you want to build infrastructure. This is where foreign exchange comes in, and we need to make sure that all of that is settled before we can say, all right, we're going to take the fight for education head on to the government.
Thank you so much, Professor Awoshika. Let me quickly go to Professor Ademola Abbas. Prof, I'm sure you must have had some time to listen maybe once again to the president's speech, or at least read the words of almost this 4-page speech. I don't know what parts immediately stand out for you, but from what we have heard so far, coming from 2023 into 2024, one of the things that people are beginning to ask for, apart from, of course, food on the table, the economy doing better, is consequences for actions taken. For instance, those who lost their lives in Plateau State, those who lost their lives in Kaduna, they want to know that there is sufficient accountability. They also want to see what has happened with those who have violated the Electoral Act. For you, I don't see that the speech is talking about that here, but how big an issue do you think consequence management will be going into 2024?
Good morning, Markway, and Happy New Year to you and your colleagues in the studios, whether in Abuja or Lagos, and Happy New Year to all Nigerians. Look, we've been here over and over. First and foremost, the speech, as Professor Awoshika just said, is a hopeful one, no doubt about that. I think the president hit a few things, some good notes. Here and there, he spoke about food security, and what he just spoke about is a question of human security that is a big challenge in the country, and the lack of consequences that must bother every Nigerian, to be honest with you. I listened to your previous speakers. There were 2 of them, somebody from civil society, and I don't know the other gentleman's name. I think he's honorable, I think Obanga, if I remember what he had on his cap. Thankfully, they put a cap on now that tells us who they are. Obanga one or something like that. You see, he spent a lot of time, a little bit combative somehow, in trying to articulate what he thinks is the position of the government and the National Assembly. Look, whether we like it or not, the president, I think, and I'm sure the president hopefully will be watching your program today. The president was given the benefit of doubt by many Nigerians who voted for him, because he's somebody who Nigerians saw then as somebody who would normally stand with the masses, who understands masses' problems in Nigeria, and as he said himself in that speech, he gave his record. He was a senator of the Federal Republic. He was a governor of Lagos for 80 years, but much more important, President Shiwaji is somebody who is seen largely as somebody who identifies with the masses. And he needs to listen to the masses. Nigerians are crying. Nigerians are dying. Nigerians are bleeding. It is not enough to continue to make good speeches. There must be proper implementation. The president should not listen to those who are talking to him, who are saying to him what they want him to hear. I was in government before, and I'm happy you have a former governor with you there. When you have been in government, you understand that a lot of sycophants around you who tell you only what they want you to hear, not what is happening on the street, in the public. At the end of the day, whether you're a minister or you're a senator or you're a House of Rep, the buck stops on the president's table. So there will be need for consequences. The president must get on that. When there are no consequences, people will do whatever they want to do, because there is a serious case of impunity in the country. One of the things I took from the president's speech as an example, he said that Nigeria is open and ready for business. But permit me to disagree with Mr. President. We are open for business, but the question is, are we really ready for business? It's a call to foreign investors. We need dollars in this country. We need pounds. We need foreign currencies in this country to be able to buoyant our economy. But the question is, are we ready to give foreign investors what they want in our country? We are running a country now in which big companies are packing up. How can they be packing up on the one hand, and we are telling others that we are ready for you to come in? No, we are not ready as we should be in this country. We are open. Nigeria is a very open country. I give Mr. President to that. But we must move away from cliches. Cliches won't save us. We can say we are open and ready when we know deep down in our heart we are not ready. I ran investment for Lagos State as a special advisor to Akin Miyambodi of Lagos Governor State on overseas affairs and investment. And I used to tell our investors that, look, we have challenges in the country, but beyond those challenges are great opportunities. That is what we need to emphasize. There are opportunities in Nigeria, but we must be able to frontally tackle our challenges, and we are not doing that near enough. Professor Awoshika spoke about the education sector. I was a professor in the United Kingdom for 10 years. I am in Nigeria today. I have a friend in this country. Who is a professor in a university in Ibadan there. A professor in Nigeria earns 450,000 naira per month. In case you don't know that, that's about $320 or $350 a month. That is a professor. Now imagine I'm speaking to you now from Abeokuta, capital of Ogun State. That professor lives in Abeokuta here, cannot rent a house in Ibadan, goes to Ibadan about 3-4 times a week to be able to deliver his lectures to his students. How much do you think he spends on petrol? It's a big question for us. I'm not even talking about the big things. Mr. President must listen to Nigerians. Nigerians are crying, and Nigerians don't want much. I saw Mr. Obanga, whatever the name of the gentleman is, who was justifying the procurement of SUVs and this and that to parliamentarians, saying that, because they need to catch people and where. Is that how you must justify? Nigerians are not saying you should be trekking to where you're going to supervise. Nobody is saying that. But we are saying that as people who have direct oversight under the constitutions, you cannot be seen to be spending 140, 160, 170 million naira on procuring SUVs and to tell us on national television that because Nigerian roads are bad. Then what then do you tell the contractors who are in charge of the road? It's your responsibility to supervise the fixing of Nigerian roads. So what I'm saying in essence is that we are in a deep trouble, whether we like it or not. We cannot sugarcoat anything anymore in Nigeria, and that is the bitter truth. So the consequences is very, very important, because people will steal money from Nigeria. People are fiendishly corrupt, and they know they can get away and do silly deals at the end of the day. What you hear from Nigerian government every day is that somebody has been accused of stealing $80 billion, 80 billion naira, 100 billion naira, criminal amount of money. But by the way, have been stolen from the country. Then what happens? You hear the case, there's so much noise on television, on all media, Then after a year, everything dies down. What happens to the money? Somebody goes to the room and will do a silly deal with the government. Say maybe you steal 80 billion, you give them 5 billion. You think that is all right? No. That is lack of confidence. That is impunity. And what message exactly are we giving to those who are coming behind us? So we need to get real. The country needs to get real. But Mr. President, listen very carefully. You need to get real. You told Nigerians not to pity you, and we are not pitying you. You knew what you were coming into. You knew that Nigerian economy was in a mess when you took over. So there is no room for excuses anymore. I agree with Professor Soyinka when he visited you, when they asked him to rate your government. He said, I've always given every government 1 year. So Nigerians will give you a year. We'll give you 6 months, give you a year, because I understand that, of course, you can't fix everything overnight. The government cannot fix everything overnight. However, 1 year is a long, long time for Nigerians today. And every Nigerian today is bleeding. And every Nigerian is crying, is hopeful that this government will fix it. Mr. President, please, we implore you to fix the country. This country needs decisive action. Enough of words. What we need today is decisive action. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much for your intervention, Professor Abbas. I'm sure my colleague Ayo would like to take the last question to our guest in Sokoto, Dr. Shadi Shabe. Ayo, over to you.
Well, yes, actually, I'd love to take, the Professor Awushika on a number of things as well. But let me ask you, Dr. Shadi Abe, well, you are also in education, so it could come to you as well. One of the things a number of people consider to be a high point in the year gone by is the issue of student loans. I checked through the speech of the president this morning. The only mention of anything education was a recap of what he has said about education being one of his 8-point agenda. How significant do you think, and the news information from last year tells us that the president promised, or the federal government promised, that the student loan will kick off this month. How hopeful are you that indeed that will happen? Dr. Shadi, that's for you. Okay, well, Dr. Shadi Sabi, are you with us? Okay, we'll come back to him later then. But Professor Awushika, if you're with us, could you please respond to that if you can? How significant do you see that being in helping particularly the tertiary education level to find its balance? Okay, I'm not sure anyone can hear me, guys. So maybe we want to take it back to you, Markway and Chamberlain.
Let's go to Dr. Shadi Sabe, who is in Sokoto. Good morning, and thank you for joining us on the program. So go ahead and tell us, I mean, you also interface with people, young people at that, and generally speaking, so perhaps you could tell us what their expectations, perhaps also adding to yours, Dr. Sabe. Go ahead and talk to us on this new year, the president's message, and what you expect him to do for the people.
It seems you're muted. I didn't get your question, Chamberlain.
Okay, can you hear me now, though? So, Doctor, what I'm asking is, yeah, go ahead and tell us, since you interface with a lot of people out there, the president has spoken saying he understands that, yes, the galloping inflation, the interest rate is really tough, but he's doing something, or whatever policies they put in place is in the interest of the people. Now, in context of that, tell us, what do you expect the president needs to do? And then after that, expectations from the people.
Thank you very much, Chamberlain, for that question. I listened to other speakers and I was quite impressed with the presentations. However, I'd like to say that what the president has said today is to give hope to Nigerians. He mentioned a couple of things, but I'd like to take us back memory lane a little. 2023 was a turbulent year for Nigerians. We started the year with a policy hangover of the redesign of the Naira that hit virtually every Nigerian from all corners. We had a fierce, electoral process, and that followed with the swearing of the president on May 29th. And, capping on that was his immediate removal of subsidy, and yet Nigerians witnessed, a drastic increase of PMS from 195 naira to today over 650 naira. And of course, that had a multiplier, a ripple effect on the economy, from the global issues of stagflation to the Nigerian lowered, economic growth, high inflation, and all of that. And, like everybody has said in this program, Nigerians are facing a lot. Take aside the security issues. That's one serious challenge that, it's the topic in itself. Nigerians are hungry. Nigerians can move from place to place. And of course, we have given the president time, knowing that in the last 4 to 5 months of his presidency, he has been working on the budget of the previous government, in addition to the fact that we're still trying to grapple out of, a battered economy. Now, moving very fast to today's speech, I listened to the speech of the president and I picked out, a couple of issues. But what I am really, particular about is the president hasn't said anything new. Some of the things that the president said he has said before in the last couple of weeks and months, maybe because it's a new year, so we see them as, old things he said on a new day in a new way. And I'd like to look at, he talked about the economy, security, the Siemens energy power project, the refineries, moving to 500,000 hectares of farming land. He talked about taxation and also, monitoring his ministers and appointees. But I think what Nigerians are actually looking for is, like one of the speakers said, the need for the president to walk the talk, the need for the president to act on all these things. He said, Nigerians are not ready for excuses. The president needs to be in charge. The president needs to hold every appointee accountable. We saw a lot of, things going down in the last administration. Some of us felt the president wasn't in charge. Some of us felt appointees were not held accountable because we feel that the president can't do it alone. The president is working with a team. The president should find a way to listen to Nigerians from a raw perspective. The president should have his ears on the ground and try to understand what's really going on. Nigerians expect nothing less from a full implementation of what he said. Our hopes are not really raised because, like I said earlier, the president has said
All right, so apologies. We'll have to thank you this morning. I mean, time does fly. Dr. Shadi Sabe. We've also had Professor Abiola Awoshika, Professor Ademola Abbas, and His Excellency Simon Achuba. Thank you all for your time here today on Sunrise Daily, and a Happy New Year to all of you, notwithstanding the challenges.
Thank you very much for having us.
Thank you for having us.
All right, so there you go. That is the show today. We do thank you all for watching. Yes, it's a new year 2024, and we do hope and pray that we'll make the most of this year, notwithstanding the challenges, because they will come. And after all, what are we without those challenges? I mean, will your win be as sweet without the challenges? I mean, I heard some people say that your victory is sweeter considering the challenges that you're able to overcome. So you can look at it in that context. So thank you all. Happy New Year to you. I'm Chamberlain, so goodbye.
Indeed, but just before we go, I think it's very important to also state the new programming notes. Yes, Sunrise Daily has come to you 9 to 11 a.m. and that will be for some time. But we also have other programs that have now been moved. Business Morning has now, well, it's now going to be Business Afternoon, I guess. Business Incorporated will now be on from between 1 and 2 p.m. West African time. You'll get all the information on markets, economy, business conversations. So do set your time for 1 p.m. Nigerian time to get all of that information around business and the economy. It's been wonderful joining you this beautiful New Year's Day, the 1st of January 2024. Thank you so much for watching. I'm Maope Ogun Yusuf.
I wish you a happy new year. I'm Ayo Makinde. Bye for now.